Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. I'm just here this morning because I've been doing some work on using the R programming language, and I wanted to show you what I've been doing. I haven't used R a lot because they did not have an R compiler in the Microsoft series of applications, and because they didn't have an R compiler in Microsoft series of applications, I was having to use online compilers, and I wasn't really happy with that. But I also have a Chromebook, and so in Chrome they have R compiler in Chrome, and I found that out. So I had been using my Chromebook to go over an R course, and I was with this R compiler. It only uses inbuilt R commands, but it was enough to get me started with R and becoming more familiar with R. And the reason why I wanted to learn R is because a data scientist needs to know how to use R and Python. Data scientists generally use R and Python interchangeably. So I took a YouTube video on learning how to do R. And so this was a 7-hour video. And the last 2 hours we were talking about time series. And so I decided that I wanted to do a time series demonstration using R's inbuilt data frame called Air Passengers. Now, Air Passengers is a data frame that from 1949 to 1960 that would tell you how many airline passengers there were from 1949 to 1960. I don't know if this was just one particular airline or if it was every airline, but it is a list of air passengers from 1949 to 1950. And then so I found out from Stack Overflow, incidentally, and the reason why is because you still need to use Stack Overflow, and you still need to use other websites than ChatGPT, because ChatGPT or Copilot, which is what I use, doesn't always get it right. So you should continue to use other websites such as Stack Overflow. And then I found out on Stack Overflow that you can use Google Colab in R. And this is the code that you use. You type in https://colab.research.google.com/notebook #create equals true and language equals R. So it sets you up to use the R programming language. And then if you do that, then what you can do is you can actually use a Google Colab in R. And so that made it a lot easier for me to work with, because whenever I was using the compiler with the Chromebook, what it did is you would type in the code and then you would generate the code. But if you wanted to see a chart or something like that, then it would convert it to a PDF, and then you would have to look at the PDF. So a Jupyter Notebook is easier to use if you're going to be plotting charts and things like that. And that's what I have done. I have plotted charts. So now that I've given you a brief description of why I wanted to use R and how you can use R in Google Colab, then what we'll do is we will go ahead and go over the code. So you're going to say data air passengers. Air passengers is an inbuilt data frame in R, and that just allows you to use the data frame. In str air passengers is the structure. So the structure is that it's a time series, and it's 144 cells from 1949 to 1961. And then, so I've got a note here, air passengers is an inbuilt data frame in R. So when you view air passengers, this is what you see. You have 12 rows of data by 12 columns of data. And you can see that the lower down you go, the more air passengers you have. So we've got a plot of air passengers. So plot brackets air passengers, comma, that's color equals blue. So we've got a plot of air passengers, and you can see that every year the number of air passengers increases. And then so we've got a plot of air passenger counts for 1960. Windows brackets air passengers, comma, start equals C, and C means that you're going to be putting these putting the values together. Brackets 1960, comma 1, comma end equals C, comma 1960, comma 12, and so you can see the time series is for 1960. And then so we're going to plot this window. So plot window air passengers start equals C brackets 1960 comma 1 comma end equals C brackets 1960 comma 12 column color equals blue. And so you can see this is the plot of the air passengers for 1960, and you can see that you had more air passengers in the summer months than you did the winter and the autumn. So now we're going to have a plot of air passengers from 1955, which is exactly the same code that we used in the previous plot, except for the fact that we're using 1955 and 1960. And so this is a plot of the air passengers in 1955, and you can see you had more air passengers in the summer months than you did the winter months. Now we're going to plot the air passengers, the 1955 and the 1960, both of these plots onto one plot. And so x equals 1 to 12, y1 is for 1955, y2 is for 1960, and it's as numeric. So you're going to convert it into numbers. And then you're going to plot the series. Plot brackets x, comma, y2, comma, type equals L, comma, col equals blue, comma, LWD, that's line width, equals 2, comma, x lab, that's your label, equals index, y lab equals values, main equals 2 series in one chart, y lim equals range, c, y1 and y2. And then we're going to add the second line to it. Lines equals x, comma, y1, comma, col equals green, LWD equals 2. And then we're going to add a legend. So the legend for 1960, 1955, color is green and blue. So 1960 is green and 1955 is blue. And let me just check that. So it says right here, it says Y2 is 1960, and we got a blue, and Y1 is 1955, and we've got a green. So we've got this, so we've got really, let's just try it again. So So 1960 is blue and 1955 is green. So we can see here 1960 is blue and 1955 is green. And so you can see that we have less air passengers in 1955 than we did in 1960. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a box plot of air passenger counts from 1949 to 1960. So you can see the values range from 100 to 600. Q1 is less than 200, and Q2 is less than 300. Q3 is less than 400. So you can see there's your box plot. Your median, I think, is Q2, which is the strong horizontal black line. So now what we're going to do is we're going to convert R's inbuilt air products data frame to a standard data frame. And then so you've got DF equals data.frame brackets year equals floor brackets time air passengers, comma, month equals cycle air passengers, and passengers equals .x numeric air passengers. And then so you can see that this is what the head of the data frame looks like. And I would like to point out that there is a distinction between R and Python. If you use Python, it's R's numbering system starts with 1, whereas Python's numbering system starts with 0. And then so we're going to look at the tail, so you can see the tail goes all the way down to December 1960. So we're going to do a box plot of each year. So box plot brackets passengers, squiggly, I think that's called a tilde, year, comma, data equals DF, comma, XLab equals year, YLab equals passenger thousands, main equals passengers by year, column equals light blue, last equals 2. So you can see here's the box plot for every year, and you can see that every year the passenger count increases. Now we're going to check the box plot for every month, and the only thing we do is we change month instead of year, and other than that the code is essentially the same. And so when we do air passengers by month, you can see that the highest rate of air passengers is in the summer months, being July and August. So that concludes this time series analysis of R's inbuilt data frame of air passengers. Thank you so much for studying with me. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to making more videos for you in R and Python and other topics in the very near future.